I'm not going to hold your hand when I say this because they look sticky, but it's psychologically impossible, energetically impossible, physically impossible to find yourself in a situationship unless at least one person has compromised self-esteem and one person has compromised integrity. I'm going to repeat that again for the folks who want to fight me. It is psychologically impossible to find yourself in a situationship unless at least one person has compromised self-esteem and one person has compromised integrity. And before you say something like, but no, Blue, he's a good dude, I'm a good person, I'm a boss-ass bitch, it's just complicated. What does that have to do with what I just said? I didn't say you weren't a good person. This is not about being a good person. It's about the strength of your character, or in this case, the lack thereof any. Let's get into it. Now, for anybody who does not know what a situationship is, I got you, right? A situationship is an ambiguous romantic entanglement in which at least one party finds themselves constantly feeling dismayed and or unfulfilled. They want more than what they're getting, right? And a lot of times when I say this definition in my classes, the first pushback I get is, but Blue, it's not ambiguous. You said it's an ambiguous romantic entanglement. It's not ambiguous. Technically, they knew what it was and they agreed to this. Pause, right? I teach about ego death. Pause. Only people who lack integrity rely on technicalities to make up for their lack of compassion. People who have a strength of character, who actually care about their impact on others, don't need to rely on technicalities to do the right thing. The example that I always give to explain why technicalities cannot be used to override having any sort of compassion or care about your fellow man is, imagine you're at a party with a friend. You're not best friends, but you're decent friends. And you see that this person looks like they've been drinking a lot. And as they grab their keys to leave the house, you say to them, hey friend, are you good to drive home? And they say, yeah, I'm good to drive home. I'm fine. But as they're saying it, you're noting their nonverbals, because communication is over 90% nonverbal. You're seeing that they have bloodshot eyes, they smell like alcohol, they're slurring their words, they're swaying back and forth. Even though they technically told you that they were okay to drive themselves home, what are you going to do if you're a decent person when you see that their words are not aligning with their actions? What are you going to do when you realize that somebody that you care about in any capacity is about to do something that's obviously harmful? In the example that I gave, most of us would intervene for obvious reasons. We want to stop someone from causing themselves unnecessary harm due to an altered and compromised mental state. I just described what it's like when someone with low self-esteem is in a situationship. Instead of being drunk on alcohol, they're drunk on low vibrational attachment masquerading as love. And the person who lacks integrity now is the sober person who recognizes that they are getting something from someone that they have not earned and probably don't deserve. Instead of taking away the keys from a drunk driver, the equivalent would be stepping away and clearing the path for that person who's catching feelings to find someone who actually deserves them. So why don't we do that? Why do we rely on technicalities? Ding, 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 lack of integrity. And because I am very sex positive, I want to very specifically speak to my free love girlies, right? The girls who are like, no, Blue, I just, I think it's real sexy and provocative to like make out with my friends and have no reasonable boundaries to keep people safe. I just think it's cute and sexy. Pause, sis. I need you to understand, from your big sis at my big age, there's nothing sexy or provocative about feasting on scraps and sitting around hoping that someone will get so tired that they'll pick you as their last resort. That is not sexy. It is sad. In fact, the gag is, whether you're the person with low self-esteem, the person with low integrity, or a combination of both, a walking biohazard, the one thing that you and the person that you are in a situationship have in common is that neither of you like you enough.